Not over yet. Manchester United, is it over for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I mean, Jesse Lingard and Paul Scholes spoke about it, about, the dressing room's not right. Well, I think that's quite clear. And why would it be right, by the way? Because when you lose games, Nat, and you lose a lot of them quite regularly, there's going to be relationships being severed in the dressing room, without a doubt. That's inevitable. I've argued this case quite a lot, Nat, and people disagree with me on it. And I've always said, you know what? The best dressing rooms I had, or been in, player power was good. Mm-hmm. But in a player power that wasn't dysfunctional and split everybody, player power in things had to be said and needed to be said, and you could find a solution. But characters in the dressing room would lead. And do it in the right way, Nat. And I feel like it's just clicks at United. I don't know, I'm not in it, but it just feels it's clicks in all different areas, whether it's young lads, older lads, foreign lads.
But, you say that. I don't even know if you feel like there's cliques. You just feel like they're just separate. Yeah. Everyone's on their own. There's no unity within the camp. And again, we don't know that as fact because we're not there every day. We don't see it, but we're only seeing what we see on the pitch.
Post-match, what's said by some of the players, I think is quite revealing.
Yes.
Fernandes has said a couple of things.
Yeah.
Maguire said some things earlier on in the season. And they're all, I think Luke Shaw as well has done it. Mm-hmm. So there's a number of players who are alluding to some of the things that are not right without actually saying it.
Yes, yeah. And it's interesting when you talk about the characters of a dressing room. And I know people will be thinking, here she goes again, Brentford. But I feel like Brentford, we went through our sticky patch. And look, I'm not going to say we're safe, but even we got to the magic 40 points. So, maybe it's looking rosy.
But you are safe.
I know, but I don't like to say it. But there is, there's characters in that dressing room. There are people that are going to G you up. And it's a case of just being together. And I think that's really what we have at Brentford. It's a strong bond. It's really vital. And I think that's been part of the reason we're now ending this season as strongly as it seems to be that we're ending it. And we'll talk about that result between Brentford and Tottenham a little bit later on, because what we should talk about is when you're looking at how the situation at Manchester United is unfolding and Erik ten Hag is going to be coming in, and we spoke about the big job that he's got on his hands when we spoke about that yesterday. You mentioned just earlier on Cristiano Ronaldo perhaps is just the one shining light because of his consistency, and he scored his 100th Premier League goal.
Yeah, 100th. And look, the last time he was in England playing before this year, 2009, is that right?
That was his last season.
Season, that. He's done unbelievable. I actually think he's certainly been United's best player this season. And taken a bit of flack, which I never, as you know, I could never agree with, because I think he's come in and probably thought, what a lot. Do you know, Nat? They've got 4 games left and they've got 54 points. Their worst ever return is 64. So they've got to get 10 points in the next 4 games, which is hard to see. So they would be factually the worst United team in the history of the Premier League. Right? Factually. Yeah. They're in danger of having that. And with one of the greatest players that's ever played the game in their side. And he's been their best player. So think of if Ronaldo wasn't there, how bad they would have been.
Well,
it's even worse.
It would be a lot worse. You're absolutely right to point that out, because he has been pretty consistent in terms of also saving Manchester United at times. You can certainly refer to the Champions League when they were playing in that earlier on this season. I know obviously it didn't quite work out in the end, but yeah, they've got games against Chelsea, Brentford, Brighton and Palace to finish things off. Just to say what you're saying, if they're to try and get beyond that 64
they need
points.
10 points out of 4. To equal the 64. And they have to win all 4 games, obviously, to go past their worst ever Man United, which was 13-14 season under David Moyes. That was his first season, and that was their worst position in the Premier League, 64 points. I think it was 7th.
Oh, so massive job at Manchester United that Erik ten Hag is coming into. What about the situation at Arsenal? Looking a little bit better after the last couple of results. Joining us to talk then more about this game at the Emirates from Malaysia, it is broadcaster Adam Carruthers, who hosts Astro Supersports coverage of the Premier League. Hello to you, Adam. How are you?
Adam.
Very good. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, look, a lot said. I mean, I said earlier in the show, Adam, I said some of the defending by both teams was absolutely awful yesterday. But Arsenal did have something. I mean, Odegaard was good, Saka, Xhaka, both of them. Just there was some very good in Arsenal, some very poor.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised because I was convinced without Partey and Tierney in the side that they would be struggling for the rest of the season against Chelsea. Yesterday, what we saw against Manchester United, but it wasn't the case. And I think we have to give a special mention to Eddie Nketiah. He's taken the opportunity given to him more dominantly against Chelsea, admittedly. But still, I think it's the way forward for the rest of the season for the Gunners.
The three in midfield? I mean, because El Neni come in as well, didn't he, as well, with Xhaka in there, and it just felt Odegaard, the three of them really performed well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think El Neni, he always steps it up in the big game. I'm just surprised he hasn't been given more of an opportunity. But you can only take what you're given, really, and Arteta's obviously put his faith in him for the rest of the season.
So looking at the situation, then we were saying before, obviously it's a damning defeat for Manchester United. It's been a bad week in general for them after that hammering at Liverpool as well. Are you in...
A bad season.
Well, of course, absolutely. But are you in the same thought of Cass there saying, well, they're out of this top four race now. It all comes down to the two North London clubs?
Well, it's not just Cass and I that are thinking that. It's also Ralph Rangnick. He said that post-match, didn't he?
That's just true.
They've played more games. I don't see how they're going to get back into this. They've got some tough games around the corner as well. It's a write-off this season. It's a complete write-off from going second place last year. And I know it was a strange season behind closed doors and strange results across the Premier League. But to drop down so dramatically, and I'm still not convinced about Erik ten Hag because, I mean, with all due respect, yeah, you're doing very well at Ajax. You're playing beautiful football. But it's a whole different beast. Ajax, best team in the Netherlands, to Manchester United, one of, if not the biggest club in the entire world, with a lot of egos that you have to try to sort out.
Well, the tricky thing for me is that the cliques in the dressing room, which I understand when you lose a lot of football matches, and they have, it's inevitable relationships within that dressing room are going to suffer.
There are cliques. I completely agree with you. But Cass, how do you feel about players coming out now publicly and saying things to the media? I'm not sure if you saw Scott McTominay's comments, but they were very revealing. Ralph Rangnick, he's been very vocal ever since Erik ten Hag has been announced. He seems to be pointing out up to 10 players could be coming in. How do you think the players are going to feel, Cass?
Well, they should be feeling, can I be one of the ones that they want to keep? But I mean, look, there's been rumours of, always happens, by the way, that everyone's going to get the CV on everybody. Everyone's going to get the rundown for Ten Hag to come into the club and write, this is this lad and this is what he's done and what type of player he's off the field. And, you know, they're all going to have to go through it, but they have no alternative for Man United. The new guy needs to know everything about every player, not just their performances, of what they're like as characters, and will they service Man United for the next 3 or 4 years? He will want to know everything, and he'll make quick decisions himself as well about the squad.
Yeah, very true. I actually got a question for that because I'm sure you've studied this. Bruno Fernandes, I'm not entirely convinced by him this season. I was looking at some of his stats. His first half season, he was averaging over a goal or assist every game. It's about 1.12 per match. Last season, it dropped off below a goal or assist a match. And this season, his form has fallen off a cliff.
Oh. Well, do you know what? You look back to that first game of the season where they beat Leeds 5-1 and you thought, wow, this is all clicking brilliantly for Manchester United because Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, some of those through balls were wonderful. And he scored a hat-trick in that game, didn't he, Bruno Fernandes? But you're quite right. His season has completely tailed off, which is obviously why a lot of people have said, why on earth have they rewarded him with a contract when he's clearly not up to standard right now? I know you could go back to his first season where he was terrific and, you know, really pivotal to Manchester United's season that time, but he's clearly not living up to the potential. And as Cass pointed out earlier on, you know, there have been comments made by Bruno Fernandes, even after that Liverpool defeat, where you felt like he was slamming everybody around him, but not really taking blame himself, when he has really not stepped up. And it's been, I mean, obviously it's a huge disappointment for Manchester United. One of the guys here, Tony, who works with us, I mean, he just comes in now pretty much laughing, you feel like, because what else can you do? It's that bad, Manchester United. So, I mean, it's a huge job for Erik ten Hag. All you can say is it's kind of a clean slate for a lot of players. You know, Donny van de Beek, for example, will come back and may well look to try and impress somebody that he's worked with before.
Didn't they get 10 points out of their first 12? I'm pretty sure they...
Do you know what they did? They got off to a terrific start. They were unbeaten. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they won 3 and drew 1.
Yeah.
That's the argument about Ronaldo joining the side, that Solskjaer, the previous manager, had a plan and it didn't involve Ronaldo, and they looked cohesive and they were playing football the Manchester United way. And then I know he got off to a great start and he's done phenomenally well this season, but that's the argument you could make against Ronaldo. And I'm just questioning how many of these United players will fit the system of Erik ten Hag. Even someone as good as De Gea, we've seen him just kick the ball into touch just because he doesn't seem to know what to do when he's under pressure with the ball at his feet. So I'm fascinated by that. I really, really am.